Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this digital lecture. My name is Dr. Harbir Sayan. I'm an optometrist in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. If you haven't been, you should definitely come and check it out. So this lecture is going to be on personal branding, professional branding, and using social media and digital platforms to build your brand and to build engagement. Something that I've spent a lot of time talking about with a lot of different healthcare professionals over the last 12 to 18 months, something that I truly believe we should all be trying to leverage to some degree. Of course, some people will use it a lot more than others, but all of us should be dabbling at the very least to make sure we can kind of tap into that resource and potential audience for ourselves. And that's whether we're trying to build a brand as an individual. And that's the amazing thing these days. We have these opportunities, whether you're an optometrist or any other kind of professional, to really go outside of the four walls of your clinic and your practice and to do so much more. And the ability to go online and use social media gives us this chance to brand ourselves in any way that we choose and create opportunities for ourselves as individuals. And then, of course, in the more traditional sense, to build our practice and our audience and to potentially reach new customers and clients and patients. Social media can help us do that through clinical or practice and corporate setting as well. So we'll just jump right in. I'll have the slides showing up here, and I'll kind of talk through them with you. And the first thing I think we should talk about is, what is a brand? And to go back into, like, and not to be dark here, but like kind of the origins of a brand. A brand was something that you would literally stamp onto livestock, or going back even further, maybe to brand criminals, so people will know that they're criminals. So using like a hot iron to put a mark on something, that's the kind of the origin of a brand. But eventually, of course, it became a logo, a signal or a sign, something that we recognize in mostly more positive terms now. And of course, the logos that you see up on the screen here, the golden arches, we know what that means. French fries, cheeseburgers, right? And just do it. Nike stands for athleticism, for sports. Just get out there, get moving. Obviously, the blue logo with the F is Facebook. But I want to take this discussion beyond logos and iconic illustrations and artwork. And again, we're talking about personal branding. People are brands now. And if we look at someone like Steve Jobs, that's a very obvious example. When we think of Steve Jobs, what do you think? What are the first words that come to mind? Innovation, black turtleneck, keynotes, iPhone, obviously Apple. Serena Williams is an iconic figure. She is a brand in herself. She's a good example of somebody, we don't maybe think of her as a brand, but she is, and she's deliberately made herself a brand. She's an athlete, she's a champion, she's a trailblazer, she's a mother now, and she's creating all these different aspects of her brand that come to mind for us when we see her face and when we hear her name. And that's what branding is about to me here, and that's what I want to kind of touch on, is establishing what is a brand and then how we can use that to reach more people and to build our business. So our brand is the impression that we make on people, our reputation, and what people think of us when they first see us. And let's go beyond the word brand, beyond that logo and that icon. There's a term that I learned a little while back that I really like, and it's a term coined by Kevin Roberts, who was the former CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi, which was or is one of the biggest marketing branding agencies in the world. And he coined this term, love marks. And I'm sure we've all left a love mark or two in our personal lives. And I want for us to be able to leave a few in our professional lives as well, in the sense of, connecting with an audience and getting them to actually love what we're doing and who we are and what we stand for. And so that's the idea here with his love respect axis. So let's start bottom left corner are commodities. Low respect, low love. They're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. I can grab whatever little knickknack or item or widget from wherever I want. It doesn't cost much. I don't think anything of it. Bottom right is a fad. And that's something we love. We love a lot, but we don't have a lot of respect for because it's only here for a short period of time. And that can be whatever fad you can think of in glasses, in fashion, in whatever else it is. It's here today, gone tomorrow. Top left is the brand that we've touched on so far. Lots of respect. You know the brand, you know what it stands for. As soon as you see it, you know exactly what you're getting, but not that much love because it's been there for a while. I can still get it I can get a pair of Nikes whenever I want, from wherever I want. And so we want to get into the top right corner here of a love mark, which is high love, high respect. And Nike, potentially, maybe that was a bad example for a brand that could potentially fall into love mark. I think Apple and iPhones and MacBooks, those are love marks. Those are things people will pay premium for. They will go specifically to an Apple store for. That's a good example of a love mark. It's something that you're truly connected to. You recognize the logo. You know exactly what it stands for, but you love it enough to go to one specific place to get it. And that's what I want us to be, and I want our clinics and our practices and our businesses to be. And you have to kind of start small, right? It's obviously, I'm using these big examples of Apple and Nike, these global brands, and that's a little daunting and overwhelming to think about when we're just thinking about ourselves and our brand. But start small in your own community, in your own neighborhood, in your own region. Try to become that resource and that person and that practice where people come to you and say, you have done everything so well, I don't believe I can get this from anywhere else. I'm going to come to you for my information, or come to you for my style advice, or come to you for my eye care. And that's the love mark. And that's what I want us to all aim to be. So that's kind of branding in a bit of a nutshell. Now we want to transition that specifically into digital branding and digital marketing. And there's three key steps, key core values that I think are very, very important when we're getting out there and starting to put ourselves out there in the digital world. And that number one is to create and provide value. Number two is to be engaging. And number three is to be consistent. If we are always leading with our core value of creating and providing value for other people, we'll always be on the right path. We'll always be coming from the right angle, and people will see that we're being genuine and trying to help them. There's enough people out there trying to advertise and market and sell. And maybe that is our long-term goal, but that's not our primary objective. That's not our number one value, core value, or the number one way that we're going to approach this. Number one thing we're going to do is provide value. Number two is engage. And that means if somebody, let's say you put a post up on Instagram or Facebook, somebody comments on it, make sure you reply to it. That's kind of the basics. But we need to go beyond that. We need to get out into our community, digital community, and the potential audience and start to connect with them, reaching out to them and commenting on their posts, answering some of their questions. If you see that there's somebody struggling with something, that means digging into hashtags. Hashtags are very valuable. They're a bit overused. But let's say we're an optometrist and we go and we search the hashtag eye care or eye doctor, and we see what people have posted there. And maybe people have posted like, I got something in my eye, I don't know what it is, wish I had an eye doctor around, just an example. And you can go in there and comment, right? Leave your 2 cents of what you think might be going on or how you might be able to create value, provide value for that person. And the 2 cents comment there is important because there's a little strategy by Gary Vee. You might have heard of him. He's a big digital marketing guy, and he likes to share his $1.80 strategy. And I think it goes a little far, but I like the premise, and I would like to kind of encourage you to look into kind of using this to some degree. And the $1.80 strategy is to leave your 2 cents on 90 different posts. Go to 10 different hashtags, see the top 9 posts in those hashtags, and leave your 2 cents on all of those. That's your $1.80 that you've left for the day. That takes a long time. Let's say we cut that down to a 50-cent strategy or something like that, right? If you can do that every day, that'll be very valuable. You'll be engaging with your audience. You'll be drawing new people in, and people will start to see that you're the type of person they can rely on for good content and good advice. The third thing about being consistent is not just to be consistent in posting regularly. Yes, that's important, And there's different structures of posting consistently for different platforms, but it's also to be consistent across platforms. So we're gonna talk about the different platforms that are available. Maybe we pick 3 or 4 or 5 that are valuable and align with what our goals are, but then you're posting the same message that aligns with your brand across all those platforms, so that you'll be able to tap into slightly different audiences, but they will all receive the same message from you. So that's very important. So provide value, engage, and be consistent. So let's dig into a little bit into the platforms. We're going to just kind of touch the tip of the surface, scratch the surface of a few of the bigger platforms, just so we can get an idea of what's applicable. And you'll see this list of platforms, and there's 8 or 10 there, and it seems a little overwhelming, but truthfully, we don't want to use all of them. They're not going to apply for every single person in every single way. So you want to just pick the top 3 or 4 that are going to be most useful to you. So now, I can't engage with you directly, but I do want to ask you a couple of questions here. As you see this list of platforms in front of you, which one is the biggest platform? The biggest social media platform right now? I think that's a fairly obvious question. We can all guess it's probably Facebook. Facebook's been around a long time, over 2 billion subscribed users. So let's change that question up just a little bit. Which platform has the most active users? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest? Still Facebook. All right, so there's a lot of chatter about Facebook is dying, Facebook is dead. It still has over 2 billion monthly users, over 1.5 billion daily active users. So still the biggest platform, still the one that we want to make sure they're on, because it's going to have the most reach potentially. So the next question is, what has the second most active users, or what is the second biggest platform, social media platform out there? And as a hint, I did not list these in order of largest to smallest. So it's not Instagram, as you might have guessed, it's YouTube. YouTube is huge and crazy and overwhelming, so we're going to touch on that a little bit and how we might be able to kind of tap into the use of that. Last question, what is the fastest growing platform, or in 2019, which was the fastest growing platform? Instagram, you might have thought? No. TikTok. Anybody out there using TikTok right now? TikTok's a little bit funny. It's fun. It's engaging, but not necessarily one that we're going to be able to use so much on a professional level. 2018, Instagram was the fastest growing, so of course it's still one of the big ones that we want to use, but funny that it's not in the discussion of those 2 or 3 topics that I mentioned there. So let's dive in. We'll start with Facebook, being the biggest one, being the one that we probably want to be very active on. It's the number one thing with Facebook and with Instagram, being that it's owned by Facebook, is that the reach is significantly declining day by day. They're deliberately decreasing organic reach, meaning that you put a post up a few years back, if you have 1,000 followers on your page, more than likely all 1,000 of them will have it pop up on their feed. They may not see it exactly, but it will pop up on everybody's feed. These days, the reach is as low as, 2% of that. So you're looking at 20 people maybe out of that 1,000 are going to see your post, if you're lucky. So what's next? Now we have to start looking at ways that we can improve organic reach, but more importantly, Facebook and Instagram, we're going to want to look into boosting our posts, throwing a few bucks at it so we can promote our posts and more people will see it. The benefits there, as we'll go into, is that you can really target who exactly sees it. All right, so real basics here, kind of what we talked about already. You want to provide value, you want to be succinct, you want to have a tone that's your brand, that's who you are, what you kind of like to say, and how you like to say it. Humor is always helpful. I did just say on that last slide, be succinct, and in most cases, being short and to the point is helpful, and having an eye-catching photo, of course, is helpful. But once in a while, that's kind of, let's say, the rule, but once in a while, the exception can really work to your favor, and that is a long-form post can be really beneficial, and people, patients, or audience, potential clients, they really like to hear what you are thinking inside, what your true thoughts are about a certain topic, and really want you to get a little bit raw sometimes. And just showing you this post real quick here, I put up a couple of years ago about a patient that I had who had a retinal detachment, had come in just for a routine eye exam, 20/20 vision. But we picked up this, he had half his retina was practically detached. So I wrote this, I was pretty emotional about the fact that, sometimes patients, especially in our region here in BC, with a lot of deregulation that we've had, patients are not kind of giving the value to the eye exam that they probably should. And so we want to talk about how important it is to have a routine eye exam. So you'll see that this one got a lot of engagement, a lot of likes and comments and shares. And so this actually would be a good one to boost. And so it would be one that we want to put a few dollars behind, because already you can see that there's clearly a lot of engagement with it. It will help us draw more people in. And it's really easy to do that. There's always a boost post button there. You just click that. And then from there, you can really start to narrow down who you want to show this post to. Age group, location-wise, you can narrow it down. You can even narrow it down by hobbies and family size and all these other things. So you can say, okay, I want this to be seen by families or mothers and parents and so on, because I want them to know the importance of a routine eye exam for their kids. The next thing, more organically to increase your reach, video is key, right? Putting up video is is a great way to increase your organic reach. Putting subtitles in your video is very important, because I think it's something like 80% of people watch videos without actually putting the sound on. So if you have subtitles, it's very important. To go a step further, to do live video is a really great way to increase your reach organically on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, because both of those platforms will promote that post. It will push it to the front so more people see it. And in fact, we'll even start to actively recruit people to come and watch your video as you're recording it live. So doing live videos can be very, very helpful. On Facebook, it's pretty straightforward. If you're on your phone, where you would normally kind of write your post, what you're thinking, that kind of thing, there's a drop-down menu. And when you're on your desktop, when you're on your home page, right at the top there where it's create a video or post, you'll see an option to create a live video. So let's jump into Instagram. Instagram has a lot of the same features as Facebook. It's just, I kind of find it a younger, smaller version of Facebook. But of course, a lot of active users, a lot of engagement right now on Instagram. So a lot of the same things, again, decrease reach, decrease organic reach. So we want to try and do a few things to increase our organic reach, and then of course, boosting posts. Videos are big, and doing stories kind of behind the scenes can be really, really helpful. Again, people like that kind of raw content. So if you pull out your phone and you're like, hey, Dr. Sayan here at the office, we're just bringing in new frames, or by the way, look at this new technology that we have. I really like it because such and such reason. Or kind of sharing your thoughts on some other things in that sense can be really great on stories. It's raw, it's kind of uncut, unedited. And then you can do your more tailored and dressed up posts for your actual feed. IGTV is Instagram's answer to YouTube and long form video on Facebook, and it's a great way to continue to put out posts anything longer than a minute. My favorite thing about Instagram is the collaborative stuff. So I like to do IG lives and live videos, and do it in collaboration with other professionals out there, so we can share our audience and share ideas and kind of reach more people. So here's what IG Live kind of looks like. Again, Instagram's going to push that to the top, to the front, and it's going to notify people that you're doing this video, and up in that story bar when you're on your home page there on your home feed, it'll show up. And a lot of times it's almost like an instinct to click, oh, what's that guy doing? And all of a sudden you're watching their video, and if it's interesting, you'll stick around. And again, if you're doing a collaborative video, that'll pop up there. And here's kind of what a collaborative video will look like. You can add people to your IG Live and start talking about different topics. And it's been real popular. I really like to do it. I've done a handful or more of these videos myself, and always seems to work really well. Here's a few useful tools that I find really helpful. Canva is a really great way of making infographics or eye-catching visuals for stories or posts. Vision Portal by Alcon has a lot of really great content. When we're talking about building content for our practice, Vision Portal's got all sorts of photos with captions prepared for us. Just download and post on dry eye, on contact lens, on all sorts of other topics that can be really helpful if you're just trying to post regularly and kind of put educational content out there. When you're getting a little more in-depth, then you want to start analyzing the engagement that you're getting with your audience. Like Analyzer is a good one. There's a bunch of other versions of that. When to post tells you when's a good time to post. It's really easy, kind of breaks it down on the time of day that you get the most engagement. Therefore, you can kind of post and know that you're going to get the most engagement from your audience. So I want to just touch kind of the scratch the surface on a few other platforms as our kind of time's winding down here. LinkedIn is a really great platform. And one of the best things about LinkedIn right now is it has really great organic reach. Kind of like what Facebook used to be like 10 years ago or 8 years ago. You post something, most of the people who are following you are going to see it. Sometimes you'll post a photo and you'll see that it got 1,000 views or 2,000 views. I don't even have 1,000 followers on Instagram, on LinkedIn right now, and it's getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views just because it got the right hashtag or it kind of hit the right demographic. So really, really great. One feature about LinkedIn that I love is the articles. So I kind of like to blog from time to time. The articles feature on LinkedIn will let you dress it up kind of like a real news article from a news outlet online. And again, that gets a lot of great engagement. Again, because it looks more professional. And of course on LinkedIn, it's a more professional type of audience. But professionals need eye exams too, right? So we want to try to tap into that audience and let these professionals know why our practice or me as an individual, why I am the right person for them to come and see. YouTube, as I mentioned, is a monster. It's a huge platform. It has massive, massive engagement and just an incredible audience, almost equivalent to Facebook, 2 billion users. But it is tricky because it doesn't function like a normal social media platform. It is a search engine. So let me ask you a question. What is the biggest search engine online? Simple, it's Google. What is the second biggest search engine online? YouTube, owned by Google, right? So people, I'm sure you do this already. You want to find an answer, you YouTube it, and then you can watch somebody kind of walk you through the steps of it, right? And you see the picture of our friend Joey here on the bottom left corner, Dr. Eye Health. He has done an incredible job of tapping into YouTube and how to make it work. But I've talked to him many times about this. It's not unfortunately as simple as post a video and everybody will see it. 2 billion people will see it. You have to get very, very diligent and detailed about the keywords you use, how you post, the kind of content you create. The thumbnail images, as you can see, Joey's are very eye-catching. And those kinds of things that you have to be very careful about. So it takes a lot of time, but there's a lot of opportunity. If you like being in front of the camera, it's something that I encourage a lot of people to do. And even if, you don't get a ton of views, it's great to have the content out there for your practice or for yourself. So again, people are seeing that you're providing value in different ways. Social media influencers. I don't like the word influencer so much, but ambassadors, partners, sponsors, really great way to get out there and connect with a larger audience. So whether if you're talking about your practice, your clinic, connecting with people in your area who have already an established audience on social media and talking to them and seeing if you can collaborate with them, whether it's on an IG Live, whether it's giving them a pair of glasses to do a post or something along those lines, can be very, very valuable. Gets a little sticky because this industry kind of blew up recently and people were starting to ask for all sorts of crazy things, like demanding high dollar value, $1,000 a post or something obnoxious like that. And no offense to people who are doing it and doing it right and making money from it, and that's fine. But if you're somebody who's getting out there and trying to build an audience, you're a professional or you're a clinic owner and you want to get out there, I would say use it with caution, but it can have a lot of value if you tap into the right resources, the right influencers, and ask them to start promoting your practice, and you organically start to get more reach and more engagement. All right, so that's basically everything I got for you today, kind of everything in a nutshell when it comes to digital branding and social media use, increasing your audience and engagement for professionals and for clinics. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got some value out of it. Please feel free to reach out to me. See all my handles here. I'm happy to engage on all of those channels at any time. And we'll see you again, hopefully, in another webinar sometime soon. Thanks so much, guys. See you later.